Hey, what's going on, everyone? So Monday they released a new The Last of Us 2 trailer. In this trailer, it was a very brutal trailer, but I've kind of been noticing on the internet, it seems like everybody seems to think and assume that this is Ellie's mother, and this whole section must be a flashback. I don't think that this is. Feel like they're trying to push that a little too much, and I don't think that this is actually a flashback or that this is Ellie's mother. And we'll kind of break this trailer down as we go. We'll try to keep this as short as possible. Okay, so the first thing to note here, if any of you have looked at IGN or anything else, this is an actual sign that says Columbia Way, which is an actual location in Seattle, Washington. So this is the actual location of where they end up hanging her and everything else. They are not walking down the highway this way. They're more likely walking from this area across, which I actually have a picture of that later on. All right, so this is the forest floor, and then all of a sudden we will hit the road, which, there you go. Now we're on the road. And this is how they're approaching this from the angle and not coming down the highway itself. Okay, so then they bring her here, and this is kind of the first time we actually get a good look at her face. A lot of people probably assumed this was Ellie when, clearly as time goes on, everyone kind of figured out it's not Ellie. If I had to guess who this person is, they are a Firefly member, and the way that she looks up at these guys, you could tell that she probably knows who these people are. Okay, and again, I think these guys are Firefly members. And you can tell one of the things to note here is that obviously, it's hard to miss this one, that this guy has been disemboweled. And the other thing, too, is that this guy as well was disemboweled. There's probably a way of questioning these people to find out where Yara and Lev, they're probably looking for them. Because again, I think Yara and Lev were obviously a member of this cult that are trying to defect and get away from them, and they're probably using the fireflies as a means to escape. Okay, so this is the actual location, and you can tell from my amazing drawing. When they're approaching this highway, they're actually approaching from this direction here, and they're walking across. And these are obviously where the three guys are, in fact, hanging. They pull her up, and again, this is the actual location. One of the things to note is the amount of overgrowth that's all over these poles, the amount of overgrowth that's here. You can see this is actually the highway up here. This is Highway Interstate 5 North, and the one that they are on is Interstate 5 South. I also saw reports where she's hanging from a tree, which clearly she's not. She's hanging from the sign. And this is the actual real-world location of that. Again, anybody can pull this up, Google Maps. Okay, one of the things to note here is that she has a scar going up her cheek. The guy has it as well. They actually have them on scars on either side of their face. And I think this is just the mark they have with their cult.
They are nested with sin.
Okay, so then you get to this part where they are nested with sin. A lot of people, again, focus on the fact that they are nested with sin, referring to her that she must be pregnant, and they're talking about her being nested with sin. But you also have to realize that they said they are nested with sin. So I think she's referring to Yara and Lev, and that they're the ones who are trying to defect and leave this group. They are the apostates that are abandoning this religion, and they're full of sin because they're leaving it. And again, she doesn't know who this person is. She's just going to use them as a means to find out information on Yara and Lev. Okay, so again, this is where the people get the picture too that, okay, they're holding the knife up to her stomach. You can tell she's pregnant because she's kind of showing. She's not showing at all. She's obviously a very fit female. These are just ab muscles. This is not, I'm pregnant and I'm showing.
Breathe in.
All right, so she goes talk to breathe in, and again, I cut to the guys that are hanging just to show that they had the same cut, the same location. They were sliced open, pulled the intestines out. So clearly, this has nothing to do with this lady assuming she's pregnant. This is just their way of gathering information from all these people.
Where is the other apostate?
See, other apostate. The other apostate she's referring to is obviously Lev. She's the apostate, and so is Lev is the apostate. She spits in the face, and here too you can tell she has these scars on her cheek, which you can kind of see them more on when she's against that barrier after her arm gets mangled. And then here too you can tell that she has the scar on the opposite side of her face from when she was facing the lady that was hanging. The guys also have it, which we'll cut to as time goes on.
Clip her wings.
Clip her wings. That was another one that I saw, at least on the IGN. I saw when they said clip her wings that, oh, this is the connection to the fireflies. The fireflies have wings. Clip the wings. Haha, get it? Clip someone's wings. That's a saying that's been around for a long time. That's just a way of subduing someone or crippling them to avoid either them attacking you or them escaping. So that's all that was. It was just her punishment for essentially spitting in her face. All right, so they'll take her down. We'll kind of skip forward a little bit because there's really nothing of note yet. All right, so here he goes. Hammer, he's about to go full ham sandwich on her arm. As he pulls up, this is where you could see his scar. One thing to note, too, is that all the males, at least this male and the other male, are both shaved bald. The kid is also shaved bald. And I only say that because I saw a report where they said that that was a female when it's clearly not a female. Or maybe I read it somewhere that somebody assumed that was a female. It's clearly a male. Kind of skip ahead, and he goes full-on mashed potato on her arm. Let me move my cursor out of the way. All right, so then we cut to him, and I was trying to look if I can get to a scene where you kind of saw his scar. The closest I could get was like maybe here, that maybe this right here is his scar. You really couldn't tell before he gets an arrow to the face. And then he gets a second arrow to the chest. All right, then we're going to get to her coming oh so close to an arrow hitting her directly in the side of the face. It just narrowly misses her in front of her face. She reacts to it. All right, so then she's going to start wildly shooting off into the woods. And you can tell at this point, this right here is where Lev is standing. Lev's standing there. She's going to start firing, and he's going to take off and run. You'll see him run behind the tree. And she's firing out ahead again. She doesn't know where he is. And then you're going to see him run. There you go. He's running right in there too as well. All right. So now we're going to skip ahead again because a lot of you have already seen this part. And there's really nothing of note that happens. She's going to react by squinting her eyes and preparing herself for that impact. All right, there you go. She gets a claw hammer right in the face. She falls down in pain. Cuts back to her, and now she is also dead. Now, one of the things I want you to pay attention to as we kind of pause it here, if you actually look at this car, look at the level of decay with this car in the background, okay? This is, again, why I think this is not a flashback. This level of decay, this looks like the same trailer, the first trailer they showed, which actually I'll reference later on. But the amount of rust and moss that's growing on this car, this is not a car that's been sitting somewhere for 5 years. And the reason why I say 5 or 6 years is this outbreak happened 2013. They get a flash forward of 20 years, which means it's year 2033. Marlene ends up referencing some point that it's 2034, so we'll say 33, 34. Ellie is 14 years old during the whole part in the game. She never gets a birthday and turns 15. So that means she was born 2019, 2018. We'll go ahead and call it 2019. So from 2013, when the outbreak happened, to 2019, when she was born, that's a 6-year time span. The reason why I think that obviously this level of decay on this car would not happen in 5 or 6 years of this car sitting out here. And all this other overgrowth that's happening as well. Also, I don't think in 5 or 6 years a cult would be formed, the fireflies would be formed, that we would have Lev, when they showed Lev, you could tell when Lev drops over that fence that he's probably been brought up his entire life in this cult. And Lev looks like he's probably close to Ellie's age at the time, that he's probably 12 to 14 years old. All right, so then this cuts back to Lev now coming out of the woods and jumping over the barrier. If you pay attention, this look right here, this look is a look of fear and curiosity. So you could tell, again, he's probably 12 to 14 years old. He's probably never seen anyone outside of the cult because he's probably been taught the entire time that these people are the bad guys, these people are the demons, they're the devil, whatever it is. So this is a face of, again, fear and curiosity. He's never seen one this close. You could tell he's very puzzled look on his face. All right, and then you could tell here too that here's his scars on his face. He has scars on either side of his face as well. That also lets you know that he was a member of that cult.
Cut her down.
All right, so we get another good look at the scar.
She's one of them.
She's one of them. again, so you could tell that he's been brought up. And again, if he's 12 to 14 years old and we're talking about a 5 to 6 year gap in time, he would have known what the world was like before the outbreak ever happened. So again, this is why I think that he was born. This is still 25 years later, and he was born, same time Ellie was during the whole breakout and how this world was. Now we get her superhero pose. Okay, this is the first time that we actually get full-on look and we realize how buff, in fact, this lady is. Okay, now, as far as what I think this is, obviously we already know that I don't think this is Ellie's mother. I actually think this is more along the lines of probably Ellie's sister or some relative to Ellie, because obviously they do look very, very similar, but I'm not convinced that this is Ellie's mother. If I had to guess how old she is here, she's probably 21 to 23 years old. So she's probably Ellie's older sister. If they were separated, Ellie was separated with her after she was born, she would have been 2 to 3 years old. She could have been pushed off towards the Fireflies when Ellie was pushed off towards the military school. Okay, so then obviously Naughty Dog also added fuel to that fire by tweeting out this. And again, I think this is Naughty Dog just kind of playing with everyone, because I think Naughty Dog assumed that everyone would think that four sections was Anna. Okay, so, but also at the same time now, obviously this is a Twitter message, whatever it is, but I also think that they might be kind of playing coy with it, that obviously you could tell in one square you could fit 2 to 3. Now, again, I might be completely overlooking this because ultimately it is Twitter, and these black squares are only what they are. But again, I mean, how many 4-letter names are there in the world? There's sure Anna, but there's also Mary. I mean, you can go Sarah. Like, there's so many different names that you can have in there. So I think they're just kind of like sprinkling in that little bit of gasoline on that fire, just so people will run with that idea. Okay, so we're going to get, again, to this section. So again, I already draw the attention to the car. Pay attention to the car, the moss that's growing all over it. Now, if you go back to the very first trailer, the condition of that car is not really unsimilar to this car. This is the exact same car. Well, that's not the exact same car, but the exact same level of decay that's on this car is also in this car, which is why I do not think this is supposed to be a flashback scene to before Ellie was born. There's no way this amount of decay, on top of the other evidence that this car has been sitting there when it looks exactly like a car that's also been sitting here for 25 years. This is important because the very first very first picture they showed teasing this game was of this, and a lot of people at the time assumed that this was Joel's arm. He's the one that's holding this hammer and what have you, which we now know is not Joel. It is this mysterious lady here. Okay, so then we get back to the very first trailer. Now, other people's theories too was that Joel has died, and this is probably a ghost that she's seeing, and she's just imagining this conversation, what have you. I don't think that that's what happened. Now, Joel could very well die in this game. I have no idea. As far as this scene goes, he's actually here. Now, I think her motivation for wanting revenge is that female that we just showed, that I said was probably her sister, relative, whatever it is, that she had some kind of, not romantic relationship, but she had a relationship either knowing that this is a relative or that this is my long lost sister, and she ultimately either gets betrayed by the Fireflies, and very well her sister too could be the new leader of the Fireflies. That either she's betrayed by other Fireflies, or she's killed by other cult member, or not other cult members, but she's killed by cult members, what have you. And so this is her motivation for wanting revenge.
I'm gonna find, and I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
All right, and then that's where that trailer ends off, and this is actually where me analyzing this is going to cut off. I hope that at least I gave you guys something to think about. Maybe not that I'm correct, but at least something to think about. And that, hey, do me a favor also, bookmark this page, and that 2 years when this game comes out, feel free to come back to this video and laugh in my face about how wrong I was. Or maybe I'm half right, or maybe I'm just full on right, and you'd be like, wow, I can't believe you were right, or I can't believe, you idiot. All along, we told you what this was, and this wasn't it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like, And I will see you guys later. Peace out.